Hey guys, Magnus Robert here, bringing you another Walking Dead character video. This time we are looking at Toby Carlson, Lance's crazy lapdog. Toby is of course male, he is played by Jason Butler Harner, he is early to mid-40s and he first appeared in Warlords. Before the outbreak, Toby was a CIA agent. Nothing else is really known. But when the outbreak began, he joined the Commonwealth, becoming close with Lance. Lance would use Carlson and his skills to out disobedient people. Soon Carlson retired from being Lance's CIA agent and instead became the head recruiter for the community. Carlson would bring in small groups of people, and when I say small, no bigger than 4. Carlson started to sober up and stop drinking, even meditating, and soon met Aaron, who was very good at bringing folks in. Carlson also soon started training Jesse. In Season 11, after receiving a call from Lance, he arrives at his office, declining alcohol. Lance tells Toby about a convoy that didn't check in last week and was found to be hijacked and the troopers killed. He tells him about the tracks seeming to lead to Riverbend. Toby recommends sending his squad, but Lance says they'll get cut down if they have guns, so Toby suggests a full-on company, but Lance though points out that Pamela Milton will find out. Lance asks Toby to go in himself to sort it out, but Toby points out he's retired from that, but Lance threatens to take his current life away from him. Toby asks if he's tired of living and fingers Lance's whiskey. Lance shows regret to the dead troopers and Carlson agrees to do it. Lance tells him to bring Aaron and Gabe. Toby asks about what happens if they don't fall in line, but Lance is confident that they will. Carlson scouts out Riverbend and has an orgasm at how excited he is. He tells the men they're going to save lives and make the world better. Aaron and Gabe voice how the place doesn't look friendly, but tells Aaron when they meet him they won't be afraid anymore. Aaron asks why the soldiers are setting up camp and not coming with them, and Carlson says it's best not to spook the people in Riverbend. He says the troops are just a radio trip away and radios Crow, who is right behind him. Aaron voices his concern and not wanting to do it, and Gabe backs him up, saying the plan is shit. Gabe brings up that Toby hasn't connected with a group this big, and Aaron agrees, thinking it's far too stupid of a plan, but Carlson says it's not up for discussion and tells him to trust him. He also tells Gabe to put his collar back on, but he refuses. Carlson accompanies Aaron to the doors along with Gabe and Jesse. Aaron talks to them when eventually the doors open and Hart exits. Hart demands their weapons and Toby hands over his gun to her. He's brought inside with the others and he's patted down before told to go to Ian's office with his comrades. He enters Ian's office and is told to sit down by the man. Aaron does his thing and talks to Ian about the Commonwealth, but when Ian wants to know where the community is, Carlson speaks up and says he can't tell him that. Ian asks why he's speaking to Aaron then, and if he's in charge, and Toby says yes. Carlson then is shown the skulls by Ian, and Ian tells the tale about them all. He calls Toby Mr. Head Wolf and asks him how dumb it would be if he doesn't know where they live. When he doesn't answer, Ian demands Carlson onto his knees and asks again. Carlson admits it'd be very dumb. Ian then tells the tale of Billy the Raider, and Carlson begs to Ian, telling him he doesn't want to be on the shelf and that he doesn't think he's stupid. Ian threatens Jesse's life if they don't tell him where the location of their raiding party is, but Aaron puts a stop to it all, calming Ian down. Ian eventually says he'll allow them all to go, but as he's briefly distracted, Carlson takes Ian's gun and shoots him. He turns around and quickly kills the 2 guards too. Aaron objects, but Carlson tells him to shut up and tells them to keep Ian hostage. He then heads out and allows the troopers inside. Off-screen, Carlson most likely was the one to shoot and kill Hart. After the troopers are let in, they begin to round people up, and Carlson has Ian brought to him. Carlson begins to question Ian about the cargo, but Ian denies knowing anything. Carlson hits him, Ian denies again, saying he found the convoy like that, and Carlson hits him again. Then Gabe throws a punch and hits Carlson, and the soldiers get a bit trigger happy, but Carlson just demands Gabe to be cuffed. Ian calls Carlson dickless and begins to explain if he found those weapons but Carlson shuts him up by shooting him in the head. He tells Ian's body he made it on the shelf right above Billy and mocks Ian's body and then begins to violently kick him. Aaron is disgusted and points out how they're supposed to be saving people, but Carlson says we're just snuffing out threats. We are saving people. He suddenly hears a horse and sees Jesse fleeing. Carlson tells the trooper to pop him. The trooper fires the shot, but then he's killed by Aaron. Carlson raises a gun to Aaron, wanting to kill him, but it's not loaded. They get ready for a fight one-on-one, melee style, but then some soldiers scare off Aaron into the woods. The soldiers have no time to follow him as he's shouted at to come back into the complex where he sees another dead trooper. Carlson puts the soldier down and screams that he only turned his back for 1 goddamn minute. Carlson puts on his armor, rounds up the captured Riverbend residents onto the roof, and he begins to suck on some booze on his finger as he announces to Riverbend that they are enemies of the Commonwealth and that they need to bring him his weapons. He then walks over to the two men closest to the ledge and asks them where the weapons are. When they say they don't know, he kicks them both off the building. He then proceeds to kill at least 11 more Riverbend residents. He announces the deaths to the remaining Riverbend people in the building, and he then instructs the soldiers to go to each room and kill anyone who won't talk. He radios Hodges, but does not get a response. Carlson watches the Riverbend roof jumpers turn into walkers and talks to Lance about what's going on over the radio. Carlson is then informed about Hodges and another soldier being dead. Carlson begins to shoot and kill the residents, clearing out the complex with his troopers. He orders the men to just pop them in the head if they don't give info. Carlson enters a room, not finding anything at first, but after seeing some footprints leading to a closet, he begins to creep before he's called about Aaron and Gabe. He chases Aaron and Gabe onto the roof, pointing a gun, telling them to drop their weapons. He gets angry, telling Aaron he's disappointed he betrayed the Commonwealth for these people, when suddenly Elijah kills the troopers and Aaron knocks Carlson's gun out of his hand and throws him down. Toby pleads for backup on the radio, but then hears them all be gunned down. Carlson explains things got out of hand and they need to just calm down. He then sees Maggie and co and continues to plead, but Aaron shoots him in the chest several times. Carlson falls off the roof with the impact of the gunfire and smacks onto the ground below. The reanimated Riverbenders begin to crawl towards him as he begins to cry out in pain. And then this happens to Toby Carlson. Devoured by walkers. He is likely put down if he's able to turn, and his body is probably gonna be shipped back to the Commonwealth to be buried, or maybe just left there to rot, who knows. Toby Carlson, man, honestly, what an amazing minor character. Really love this guy a lot. Fan of the actor from Ozark, so maybe that was the reason, but oh boy, was he fun. Honestly, mean it when I say I wanted more from this guy, so much more. He was ruthless, quirky, and kind of likable, even though he was so vile. However, you always must remember this. He was technically coerced into doing this by Lance, so the truly evil is really Lance Hornsby. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on Toby Carlson. I loved him, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.